Hello, everyone. My name is Max, and today we're going to delve into another distressing case with you. On September 22nd, 2023, Suzanne Morphew's remains were found 3 years after her mysterious disappearance on May 10th, 2020. During an unrelated investigation, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations accidentally discovered her remains in an area of Moffat-Saga County, reigniting interest in the cold case of Suzanne Morphew's vanishing. Her turbulent personal life and the vague and sometimes contradictory event recollections initially led investigators to suspect her husband in what was considered a murder case. Despite a massive effort involving over 70 investigators who dedicated around 1,000 hours, issued 135 search warrants, and interviewed upwards of 400 individuals, it was not until the remains were discovered far from their original search zone and DNA evidence linked her death to a known serial killer that serious doubts about her husband's involvement began to emerge. Was Barry Morphew unjustly accused, or was he perhaps more cunning than authorities anticipated? Or did factors from Suzanne's personal life play a role in her demise? Suzanne Morphew, born on April 11, 1971, to parents Jean and Adrienne Alexandria, grew up alongside her two brothers, David and Andrew. Described by her acquaintances as intellectually gifted and a compassionate friend, Suzanne met Barry Morphew, her future husband, during her high school years. The couple wed after dating for 6 years. Barry was a promising baseball player, once signed by the Toronto Blue Jays, while Suzanne pursued an education degree at Purdue University. After an injury cut short Barry's sports career, he pivoted to horticulture. Suzanne had been teaching for 4 years when Barry launched his landscaping business, which gradually prospered. The couple had 2 daughters, Mallory and Macy, and led what seemed like an idyllic life in Indiana. However, after Suzanne twice overcame Hodgkin's lymphoma, the Morphews relocated to Mayville, Colorado in 2018, seeking a new beginning and proximity to their daughter Mallory, who was attending Western State University. They settled on a beautiful 7-acre property that allowed Barry to pursue hunting and volunteer firefighting, while Suzanne retired from teaching to focus more on church activities and her new interest in mountain biking. Despite outward appearances, the Morphews faced underlying issues that only came to light after Suzanne's disappearance on May 10th, 2020, a day that started unlike any typical Mother's Day. Barry was away on a supposed landscaping job in Broomfield, a 3-hour drive from Mayville, while the girls were on a camping trip. Plans were in place for a Mother's Day celebration upon their return, but Suzanne never responded to her daughter's messages that evening, an unusual occurrence given her active social media presence. This silence marked the beginning of a mystery that would unfold over the next 3 years, challenging perceptions and questioning the true nature of the Morphew family's perfect life. Was amiss when their daughters, Mallory and Macy, reached out to their neighbor Martin Ritter and his wife after not receiving a response from their mother. Concerned, Mrs. Ritter visited the Morphew home between 4 o'clock and 4:30 p.m., only to find it deserted. Upon contacting Barry, he advised her to look for Suzanne's mountain bike and to call the police if it was missing. This led to her calling the authorities, who arrived at the Morphew residence, where Barry and his daughters soon returned, anxious for any news of Suzanne. The investigation took a significant turn when 2 deputies discovered Suzanne's mountain bike in a steep ravine not far from the family home. The circumstances surrounding the bike were puzzling. There were no signs of a crash, no skid marks, no damage to the bike, and no disturbance in the surrounding vegetation. This led the deputies to suspect that the bike had been deliberately placed there. Barry's subsequent explanation that a mountain lion might have been involved only added to the growing skepticism around his account of the events. Barry's credibility was further questioned after a secretly recorded conversation with YouTuber Tyson Draper revealed more about his mountain lion theory. His absence from the search parties organized by Suzanne's brother Andrew, who doubted Barry's story from the beginning, also raised suspicions. The situation escalated when Suzanne's helmet was found 1 mile from their home in a direction indicated by the telemetry data from Barry's truck, which contradicted his claim of heading straight to a Broomfield construction site. Barry's alibi continued to crumble under scrutiny. He initially told investigators he woke up at 4:30 a.m. and left for Broomfield, but telemetry data from his truck showed he first drove 1 mile west before heading to the site. Confronted with this, Barry claimed he had been scouting for elk to tranquilize and harvest their antlers, a statement he later had to adjust when inconsistencies in his timeline were pointed out. On the day of Suzanne's disappearance, Barry portrayed it as an ideal day where he and Suzanne had spent quality time together, including a hike and a romantic evening. However, as the investigation deepened, it became apparent that Barry's account of events was filled with inconsistencies and falsehoods. This led investigators to suspect that not everything was as perfect in the Morphew household as it appeared, casting a shadow over Barry's narrative and leaving many questions about what really happened to Suzanne Morphew. Suspicion. The note suggested that Suzanne felt increasingly threatened by Barry's behavior, hinting at an escalating tension between them. This piece of evidence, paired with the ongoing investigation, painted a grim picture of their marital dynamic. The accumulating discrepancies in Barry's narrative, his erratic behavior on the day before Suzanne's disappearance, and the subsequent inconsistencies caught on surveillance videos pointed towards a deeper involvement in Suzanne's disappearance than he initially admitted. Investigators pieced together a timeline that contradicted Barry's account of a peaceful evening and suggested a more sinister scenario. In addition to the troubling evidence found in Barry's truck and phone, the discovery of the pen camera in their home added another layer of complexity to the case. Although it was meant to catch Barry in wrongdoing, it instead captured Suzanne's extramarital affair, highlighting the depth of the issues in their marriage. Despite Jeff being cleared by the police, the affair added a potential motive for Barry, especially if he had discovered the relationship. The detailed analysis of the phone and vehicle telematics, along with Barry's inexplicable actions, such as disposing of trash bags, the smell of bleach in his hotel room, and his multiple changes of clothing, led investigators to believe that he planned and executed a cover-up. The varied and frequently inconsistent explanations provided by Barry did little to dispel the mounting evidence against him. The case of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance illustrates the challenges and complexities of criminal investigations, where not everything is as it initially appears. The combination of personal grievances, secretive behaviors, and conflicting evidence created a tangled web that investigators had to unravel to uncover the truth behind Suzanne's tragic fate. Be held responsible for Suzanne's disappearance and presumed death. This discovery of foreign DNA not only undermined the prosecution's case, but also introduced the possibility that an outside party could have been involved in Suzanne's tragic fate. The presence of DNA linked to other serious crimes added a significant layer of doubt, suggesting that Suzanne could have been targeted by someone with a history of violent offenses. The defense's argument about the lack of human remains detection by cadaver dogs. The visual inconsistencies regarding the dart cap in the dryer and the broken condition of the dart gun further complicated the narrative that Barry had orchestrated a meticulous murder and cover-up. These points emphasize the gaps and weaknesses in the prosecution's case, highlighting the challenges in conclusively tying Barry to the crime with the evidence at hand. As the hearing unfolded, it became clear that the case against Barry Morphew was fraught with challenges. While the circumstantial evidence suggested his possible involvement, the introduction of an alternative suspect with matching DNA at crime scenes in different states cast a shadow over the entire prosecution's effort. This pivotal moment in the hearing forced everyone involved to reconsider the direction and foundation of the investigation. The revelations about the withheld DNA evidence caused a significant shift in the courtroom dynamics, emphasizing the importance of transparency and thoroughness in legal proceedings. It raised questions about the investigation's integrity and whether due process was followed, especially concerning the rights of the defense to access potentially exculpatory evidence. Ultimately, the complexities of the case against Barry Morphew, compounded by these late disclosures, painted a picture of a trial mired in uncertainty and controversy. The defense's ability to cast doubt on the prosecution's claims was a crucial factor in the legal proceedings, making it difficult to establish Barry's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt in the absence of more definitive evidence. Following the dramatic turn of events that led to the dismissal of all charges against Barry Morphew, the case continues to captivate public attention, despite the judge's decision to allow the prosecution the opportunity to reopen the case should new evidence surface. The discovery of Suzanne Morphew's remains has only deepened the mystery surrounding her death. Barry, having secured his freedom, is now taking legal action, seeking a substantial sum in damages, alleging that he was wrongfully charged and that his prosecution was mishandled. This lawsuit emphasizes his stance that the investigation was flawed and biased against him from the start. The location where Suzanne's remains were found poses new questions about the circumstances of her death. The distance from the initial search area and the nature of the site, a place used by a suspected serial killer, suggests the possibility of another perpetrator. This revelation supports the theory posited by Barry's attorney, Iris E. Yan, who contends that Suzanne was likely a victim of a serial killer, thus exonerating Barry from direct involvement in her demise. As the case stands, law enforcement and the district attorney's office remain committed to continuing the investigation despite the setbacks and public scrutiny. The possibility of reopening the case hangs in the balance as they await further evidence or leads that could definitively link Barry to the crime or, alternatively, confirm his innocence. In the midst of these developments, the community and Suzanne's family are left grappling with their grief and the ongoing uncertainty of justice. The unfolding saga of Barry Morphew's legal battles and the ongoing police investigations highlight the complexities and challenges of solving high-profile criminal cases where not all is as it seems and where justice is an ever-evolving narrative.